for hanging around. Pretty hard to follow that, Paul, and all the rest of you, so but thanks.
Yes, but you have a secret.
Not sure what that is. I am on the board of Greater Boston Physicians for Social Responsibility, and here to talk about nuclear weapons and why we don't need them. I don't think I need to tell all of you here about the intolerable and existential threat posed by nuclear weapons to all humanity and all life on Earth, as a matter of fact. Even a limited, if there is such a thing as a limited exchange of nuclear weapons, say between India, Pakistan, or US and North Korea, would cause hundreds of thousands or millions would be killed outright, and 2 billion or more would die subsequently due to a nuclear famine or nuclear winter. So that's one threat, that we could bomb each other on purpose, but we've been close to accidents with this in the past, and accidental firings or making a mistake, thinking that something was coming to attack us and we needed to get our weapons out there in advance of being hit ourselves, otherwise there wouldn't be any left. Terrorists could attack our military silos as well. Of course, we have submarines and air-launched nuclear weapons now. And Daniel Ellsberg, in his book, said the strategic nuclear system is more prone to false alarms, accidents, and unauthorized launches than the public and even most high officials have ever been aware. And there's a long list of these that have happened around the world. That, of course, doesn't address the moral and undemocratic implications of indiscriminate use of such weapons of mass destruction as nuclear weapons. There's no way to prevent collateral damage, and in addition, in the US, the nuclear weapons are under the control of one person, namely the US president. They can be used without a declaration of war, without any sort of conversation or debate among our elected representatives. Right now, around the world, we have just under 15,000 nuclear weapons. They're held by 9 states. US and Russia hold about 95% of these. This has decreased from more than 50,000 in the past. So let me get to the nuclear modernization that is proposed at the tune of $1.2 to $2 billion over the next 30 years. It's really just an escalation. What?
It's trillion.
Trillion. I mean, sorry, I always say billion because but trillion is what it is. Yes, thank you. It's too much. And in addition, right now, our government's stepping away from one treaty dealing with this after another. I don't mean to say that this is totally a partisan issue. It's bipartisan. All our presidents have considered using these weapons in the past, and many have threatened to use them. So it's clear that that money would be better spent on our crumbling infrastructure, as we have heard earlier today. We're already spending huge amounts every hour. Like I saw a figure of 2 million, but again, my numbers may be off. I'm not always that good on maintaining the arsenal that we now have. But while the American Society of Civil Engineers give our country near failing or failing grades on our infrastructure. Some would argue that possession of nuclear weapons is important because it deters others from attacking us. In reality, it's only led to an arms race. If you look at history, it hasn't deterred anyone. Skirmishes are going on, a lot of conflict in the world that is armed, and hasn't changed anything. Last year in the New England Journal of Medicine, they published an article called the 2017 Nobel Peace Prize and the Doomsday Clock, the End of Nuclear War or the End of Us, and that really says it all, I think. Also in 2017, 122 nations promulgated the UN Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. which is now in the process of being ratified. Of course, none of the 9 nuclear-armed states participated in these negotiations. The organizations working on this treaty were awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 2017 at a meeting of Nobel laureates in Merida, Mexico earlier this month. The participants affirmed their support for the abolition of nuclear weapons, as that's the only way to prevent a nuclear catastrophe. And there's a quote from Michael Clare: "It's essential to resist the notion that a world without nuclear weapons is inconceivable, and that only a bigger arsenal can protect us at a time of increased international tension. Enhancing the potency of the U.S. nuclear arsenal at this moment will only aggravate tensions and increase the risk of confrontation, not reduce it." I think that's very important to consider. We need to also consider that it actually will cost something to get rid of our nuclear weapons, but it'll be much cheaper to do it now rather than after we've modernized our arsenal. Thank you.